Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101. And it's time for Case's movie reviews. Now, if you're just joining us, Case is 25 years old, and up until about 4 or 5 months ago, hadn't seen any big movies except for Boys in the Hood.
That was it.
And now at this point, he's seen Shawshank Redemption. He's seen Saving Private Ryan. He's seen
Braveheart.
The Matrix.
Pulp Fiction.
Dirty Dancing.
Mallrats. All the classics.
And he's a better person because of it. Mm-hmm. And so...
More fun to be around.
Well, I've made these references of movies for years, and he just gives me this blank stare. And now he knows some of the things I'm talking about when I make a movie reference.
When
and you too.
When you do your Shawshank voice, I know what it is.
That's right. So
and what is your Shawshank voice?
It's time for Case's movie reviews that my friend Andy has recommended. No, Andy didn't recommend this one. A girl named Jessica and Joliet.
Yes.
Jessica from Joliet said Case has to see Twister, of course, this week because of the tragedy that happened here in Chicagoland with 8 to 100 tornadoes going through.
And a lot of them in Joliet, no less.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's actually in Joliet is where they had the sighting of one. Some of them were by radar only, but there was 8 by sighting tornadoes.
Oof.
And Joliet was one of them.
Popping up, baby.
So here we go. Case watched Twister, the original. There's Twisters in the theater right now, or coming up in the theater. And this is the original from 1996 with Bill Paxton, among others, an incredible cast. And I guess we start off by playing the trailer, right?
Please do.
So here's the trailer from 1996 for Twister.
Storm chasers. Well, let's go. All right, we're moving.
Scientists have been studying tornadoes forever, but still nobody knows how a tornado works.
We have touchdown. Tornado is on the ground.
Woo-hoo! It's the wonder of nature, baby.
These sensors take scientific measurements.
You got to get in front of the tornado and put it in the damage path.
You gotta get further ahead of it.
I know what I'm doing.
Have you lost your nerve?
Tighten your seatbelt.
Yeah!
It's at 2 o'clock. It's heading this way.
This storm's gonna be a lot bigger than we anticipated.
Cow. I gotta go, Julia. We got cows.
The producers of Jurassic Park and the director of Speed bring you face to face with Twister.
Well, wait a minute. So that's the first trailer we've listened to that's that old that didn't have the voiceover till the end.
I know.
It was slowly phasing out.
Yeah.
Already.
Case, take it from here. Your review of Twister.
I will say, I had never heard of this movie before it was recommended to me this week. I had no knowledge of it, didn't know the story, didn't know anything about it. I thought this movie was outstanding.
Wow. Okay. From the lens of a 25-year-old Case, I wasn't sure.
Uh-huh. I have a few problems with it.
Oh, of course.
But that's okay.
Okay.
I will start off with the problem, which is, this is why I'm dreading the month of October so much, because I've never seen any scary movies, and we're going to do all scary movies in October. This isn't a horror movie in the sense of, like, Friday the 13th, but I was already afraid of tornadoes, and now I have to worry, because of watching this movie, I have to worry about cows getting thrown into tornadoes. I have to worry about getting impaled by a ladder because of a tornado.
Yes.
I have to worry about if I'm on the road and the tornado happens, now I might have to drive through someone's house in the middle of the road because of a tornado. I lived in a world where that didn't exist 24 hours ago. Now I have to constantly be worried about that whenever there's a storm. That sucks.
Okay. You should relax. Mm-hmm. You're not going to drive through a house.
Because you don't drive.
Also, I don't think anybody's ever done that.
Well, Bill Paxton did it.
He did. Bill Paxton did
And
the
he
movie.
did like a badass, too.
He's like Tom Cruise. None of his scenes were fake.
I have to admit, during that scene, that's the only moment when I was like, come on. Because he's going, we're going into the house. And if I was in my 2019 Rogue, which is very, off-roadable.
A lot of torque on that thing.
I'm sure I would have hit the house and I wouldn't have went through it. I think it would have just stopped right there on the road. And he has her badass pickup truck that goes right through the living room. Amazing special effects. Oh, I don't know who did it, but again, the Jurassic Park Speed people, very fair.
It's a good movie for the Dodge company. The Dodge Ram gets through a lot in Twister.
Hell yeah, brother.
That's a good
The whole
truck.
thing's actually an ad. It's the longest commercial in history.
That's right.
Yeah.
They put it on a DVD. It's the only commercial.
It's unbelievable.
All right, that's your problem with the movie. That's really a you problem.
Now, I have to ask, are you going to address the first scene? Because I have something to say about the first scene.
Kenzie, you have the floor.
Okay, I don't want to miss it. So, it's something that's traumatized me for my entire life is the dad holding the door and getting his ass kicked while his daughter and wife watch. It's horrific. Now, many have brought up that the daughter and wife were okay without a door onto the thing.
Yeah.
So much like a Titanic scenario, everyone could have lived. Apparently, the dad could have stood next to him and not held the door and not died.
100% you're right. This
Thank
is
you.
the dad. It is the dad's fault that he's dead. First of all, he closed the storm door on the dog.
He made up for it.
He opened it up.
But it doesn't matter. He wasn't thinking of the dog. And as somebody who has gone through some animal-related trauma this year, I was highly sensitive towards not only that dog incident, but then later the lab that's in the house that collapsed. How dare he? Second of all,
He said, hey, Bill Paxton saved that dog, though.
damn straight, Bill Paxton's a hero. Second of all he had to do was let go of the door and he would have lived. And he rode that thing like it was a bull for 8 seconds up through the tornado.
He was holding it still, the tornado.
Yeah, well,
Put the door down.
Just let go.
I mean, I guess the other side of it is either that or they all should have died. And then we wouldn't have had a movie.
I'll tell you what.
If it was just the first 5 minutes, they all died and we all go home.
They all got
short
sucked
film.
up. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. My thing when I was watching this, probably like 7 years old, was I would have rather they all died than that dog. Oh, I was so worried about that dog.
If you go back and watch it, they do show a scene of the dog looking at him right before he gets sucked up. And you know that dog's going like, well, that's what you get for closing the door on me.
And the dog is right to do that.
My, oh, the tables have turned.
It's a very Toto, Wizard of Oz looking little dog, like a little, Yorkie or whatever.
Yeah.
And the dog's going like, sucker.
Like,
Bye.
I have to say, because I watched this movie when I was a child, and that's almost all I remember from this movie. But every scene of it is burned in my head.
Yeah.
Every scene of it.
Wow. It is an incredible way to start the movie.
So once they get past that, I will say the thing I love most about this movie is I love every single character that's involved. They're all super memorable. I buy that they all could be scientists. I was talking to Brian a little bit about this morning, where I'm so glad that it's not a movie with The Rock and Sydney Sweeney, and we have to pretend that they're in danger, and we have to pretend that they're scientists and that they care about weather. Look, Helen Hunt, baddie, looks great throughout the movie. I also buy that she's into science. You know, there's a fine line there, and I think they pull it off quite nicely. But you have Bill, who's excellent. I love Philip Seymour Hoffman as an actor. I really only know him from Along Came Polly.
I knew you were going to say that. And he's so good in that.
He's so good in that. He's so good in this. All of these characters are so distinct. They're so memorable. My favorite character in the movie is the fact that there's a bad guy storm chaser, the corporately backed storm chaser. You have that clip. I want to play this real quick because this is my absolute favorite line of the movie. I love that even in the world of storm chasing, everybody has petty beefs.
Jonas, son of a bitch.
Who is that, honey?
Jonas Miller, he's a night crawler. We all started out in the same lab, and Jonas went out and got himself some corporate sponsors. He's in it for the money, not the science.
Oh, God, that's so good.
He's a sellout, you see.
It's so good. It's so 1996. They were probably saying the same thing about Green Day while this movie was being filmed. My only complaint is that the corporate van, it should have had like a giant Pepsi logo on it. It should have been it should have looked like a NASCAR, basically.
I also just love the concept of what a sellout. He needs to get paid for his job. He's not doing it just to help science. Like, God forbid.
You know what? And I just watched this movie recently, but you know what's amazing about it? In that 15 seconds, the way Bill Paxton narrates that is a prequel waiting to happen about them in the lab when they were all buddies.
100%.
And then he breaks off because a corporate sponsor pays him off with a briefcase of cash in an alley somewhere. We want you to chase tornadoes. Here's $1 million.
It sounded like you just applied on Indeed. Some corporate, they got a job after we graduate.
Listen to the way he says it.
Got himself some corporate sponsors. He's in it for the money, not the science.
The greatest.
So good.
It's the
Still
greatest.
risking his life, I'd argue, but it's fine.
And actually, spoiler alert, has a horrific death in the movie.
Oh, boy, did I not see that coming.
And you see that Bill Paxton was upset. He tried to save his life, and he didn't listen.
That's right. Now, again, I loved this movie. I loved all the characters. I know we're up against it. So can we come back real quick? I might ruin Twister for people. I have one more complaint that I really want to get out. Is that okay?
I thought we were going to end right now happy.
I know. I've got to. There's one issue I have in this movie, and I need to know I'm not alone in thinking this way.
All right, we'll come back, continue in conclusion of Case's movie review of Twister, the 1996 action-adventure thriller. We come back with Brian and Kenzie on Q101.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101, right smack dab in the middle of Case's movie review of Twister, the original, not the Twisters. It's in the theater because Case hasn't seen movies from 1996. He hasn't seen some of the biggest movies of all time. The first movie that was released to DVD, Twister with Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt, Philip Seymour Hoffman. So rest in peace right there. Two legends that died too young. Those two actors, not Helen Hunt. She's alive and kicking and doing great.
Woo!
You also forgot, as you haven't mentioned yet, Jamie Gertz.
Okay, yeah.
Is every Gen Xer like me had fantasies about her from the 80s movies that she was in.
What was she in? Because that's a name I only know because of the fact that she owns the Atlanta Hawks partially,
That's
not
the thing.
because of any of her acting movies.
Kenzie, this is
Do
one
you have this information? Because I know what she's been in.
I do, but I also want to say this should be your hero the way you want to operate because... But go ahead and give me some of the movies. Less Than Zero's got to be one of them.
Less Than Zero, The Lost Boys.
The Lost-
She was the lead in the show, Still Standing. She was the wife.
Yep.
16 Candles, Crossroads.
Crossroads, if you're a musician, a guitar player like myself, you have to see. It has Ralph Macchio in Crossroads as well.
That's right.
Post Karate Kid, I believe.
Jersey Girl.
Jersey Girl.
Solar Babies. Renegades.
You've already said the movies that changed, like Lost
Yes.
Boys and Less Than Zero. Incredible. Robert Downey Jr. in Less Than Zero. So she was kind of this fantasy girl for Gen Xers like me. And then, Kenzie, she married a billionaire.
Unbelievable.
And she appeared at the NBA draft a couple years ago, Kenzie, because the billionaire owns the Atlanta Hawks basketball team and the Milwaukee Brewers.
Unbelievable.
So she's been living the dream with kids and a billionaire and doesn't have to make movies anymore.
That's good life.
But I miss her in movies, and she still looks fantastic.
She's
She
great
does.
in this. I love that whole character because as they're chasing the tornadoes, she's a sexual reproductive therapist, which is a job I didn't know existed. And she's answering the phone and taking calls as they're in the storm. She's great. Alan Ruck is also in this movie.
Cameron from Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
That's
and
true.
You
Yep.
also have, by the way, we talked about, Jonas, the evil tornado chase hunter who in it for the money, not the science. And Kenzie, you'll know this in case won't know this. He was in the first Saw movie. He was the victim
Oh, that's right.
in the first Saw movie.
Oh, that's a poll.
And you also
They
have...
killed so many people. I forgot.
Oh, God. And you also have the wuss from Saving Private Ryan that made the guy that didn't shoot the guy. So
yeah.
So Tom Hanks dies because
Yeah.
he didn't shoot the guy earlier.
I know that now because I've seen Saving Private Ryan.
See?
There you go.
He has a small role. So many. You're right. It was cast perfectly.
Here's my one issue with this movie that
Come on.
no, here's the I just want to know that I'm not alone.
Okay.
Because I bought in to the entire structure of this movie. You can drive through a house, cows can fly through a tornado.
Period.
Everything I was sucked in, no pun intended, sucked into this universe, sucked into the suck zone, as they say in this movie.
Ew.
I was into all of it.
Okay.
My only complaint
Oh, God.
is that this movie takes place during a one-day period for the most part. It's roughly like 26 hours from start to finish. You would think in a day where about 8 tornadoes touched down, they would have canceled the drive-in movie that night. A lot of lives were lost because they didn't cancel the drive-in movie. And I'm sorry, but when you live in a place that is known for being nicknamed Tornado Alley,
Yeah.
maybe a drive-in movie isn't the best business venture.
Now, in fairness,
I really want to hear Kenzie defend this, so go.
when you live in a place named Tornado Alley, you're kind of desensitized to tornadoes. And I feel like you're like, oh, another one. Like, who cares? And it doesn't mean they don't have a right to have fun or have local businesses.
Have an indoor movie theater. If you see Bill Paxton and his crew come into town, cancel the drive-in. That's my life advice.
In fairness, it's easier to drive away and get away from the tornado if you're to drive in than try to get away when you're sitting inside a movie theater. You can't even see it coming.
I'm going to side a little bit with Kenzie on this because it's kind of like us here in Chicago when there's 3 feet of snow. Yeah, I'm going out. I'm not staying home because 3 feet of snow. I'm not staying in because there's a tornado, 17 of them coming through. I'm going to see a movie. The other part of that is the movie case that you will see in October in the drive-in is The Shining.
Yes.
Where Shelley Duvall sadly just passed away.
Is that the movie that's on the screen?
Yes.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. You're going to cry like a bitch in October. I can't wait.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
And now, finally, we can close it out with the rating system. It'll be Twisters this time, right?
That's right. It'll be Twisters for the movie Twister. And I can proudly say I enjoyed this movie from start to finish. I loved every character. I loved the story. This is a solid 8.25 Twisters out of 10.
Nice. Love it.
It's not Shawshank. It's not Pulp Fiction. But I tell you what, this is one of my favorite movies I've watched since we started doing this.
Case is in the suck zone.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.